Guys, please put on your mask and put your phone in silent mode. Guys, please put on your mask and put your phone in silent mode. Guys, please. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna
I request everybody to please maintain the decorum of the room. Thank you. I request everybody to please maintain the decorum of the room. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
arrived.
Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna वृंदावन में रास रचाए मुरली की धुन पे सबको नचाए कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा गोवर्धन गिरधारी कृष्णा कृष्णा मोर मुकुट सिरधारी कृष्णा 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा
Request everybody to please be seated. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. We are happy to have you all here, and we would like to welcome each and every one of you on behalf of IFMR GSB Kriya University to Prarambh 2022, the orientation program for MBA Batch 2024. We would also like to thank our esteemed chief guest, Mr. Ranganathan Krishna, for gracing the event. As an MBA student, this day is indeed going to be a memorable day in your life because it marks the beginning of a journey at IFMR GSB. So, congratulations on making it to one of the premier B schools in the country. Most of you must be familiar with me since we have connected many times before. But for those who do not know me, I'm Shivani Jindal.
And I am Mehak Dawani.
We both are second year MBA students here at IFMR GSB Kriya University, and we'll be your host for this 3-day orientation program. So, let's start this delightful and joyful journey of your learning, growth, and developing into a better individual. Now, as we're about to start the day, we would like to make sure that you have all gone through the required do's and don'ts. Please keep your mobile phone on silent for the orientation program. Kindly ensure to always maintain the decorum during the program. We'll try our best to provide you all with an amazing experience of new learning and thoughts.
The entire team of Prarambh 2022 is always here to help you. Feel free to seek our help if any problem arises. You can identify the volunteers with their badges. So, without any further ado, let's begin our program. We would now like to invite the dignitaries along with one student from the incoming batch to light the lamp. We would also request everybody to please stand up for the scene.
Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna वृंदावन में रास रचाए मुरली की धुन पे सबको नचाए कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा गोवर्धन गिरधारी कृष्णा कृष्णा गोर मुकुट सिरधारी कृष्णा 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna
Students, please remain standing. Now, we request members from Team Raga to step forward for the invocation.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषार हार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युत शङ्कर प्रभृतिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा
We request everybody to please settle down. Thank you, all the dignitaries, and thank you, Team Raga, for the great start. Now, I would like to request Dr. Satya Saminathan, Associate Professor, Area Chair Marketing and Coordinator of Prarambh 2022, to deliver the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mehul. Good morning to all the eminent people who are present here on and off the dais. Chief Guest, Mr. Ramana Krishna, respected Vice Chancellor, Mr. Shiv Kumar Srinivasan, respected Pro Vice Chancellor, Mr. Ram Kumar Ramamurthy, respected Dean, Professor Lakshmi Kumar, senior management people from Korea University, my faculty colleagues, and the student volunteers, staff members who joined us today from Korea University, and of course, my dear students of the batch 2022-24 who are joining this esteemed institution today. On behalf of IFMR GSB, I am actually very proud to be standing here in front of you and giving a warm welcome to this occasion. Welcome to Prarambh 2022 today. I am feeling extremely happy because this is a very grand inauguration, and I can promise you that Prarambh has been a tradition in IFMR GSB for the last few years, and it is a program which consolidates all the events and ingredients of 2-year MBA program in 3 days time. It is in fact act as a tunnel in the dark. It in fact act as a torch in the dark tunnel, for all the students who come here with a lot of dreams. Welcome. Last 2 years were completely forgettable, not only for us, but for the entire globe, because we were undergoing pandemic. And then we realized the importance of social life. We did understand that human beings are really social animals. Of course, the colleges were run online. The classes were happening on Zoom and Skypes, but nothing can match up the excitement of being in a physical classroom. And we are back here. So we are happy and excited to be back on campus with this delightful inaugural ceremony. That is why this year Prarambh is very, very special to all of us. My dear students, let me first congratulate each one of you for making this MBA program 22-24 batch. I know the travel wasn't tranquil. The selection process were tough. In spite of it, you were able to make here, and I am able to see a lot of aspirations in all your faces. And in fact, I'm sure that every one of you must be having an idea to reach a landmark in your life. And I can promise you that this day is going to be your first stepping stone to reach that landmark. And my folks, when you are going to talk about ideas, I'm getting reminded of Swami Vivekananda's words, which I would like to reiterate here. He once said, take up one idea, make that one idea as your life, and share that idea to your brain, in your nerves, and also to every part of the body, and just leave every other idea alone. And that is the way to success. And please follow that. And I will also, with that loving note, I would like to share you that these 3 days are going to be really enjoyable. Make the best use of these 3 days, and I hope you will really take back a very good learning and wonderful memories along. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir. It is my privilege to invite Dr. Lakshmi Kumar, the Dean of IFMR GSB, to address the gathering. Professor Lakshmi Kumar handles macroeconomics, entrepreneurship, and microfinance and management students. She is passionate about development issues, particularly in understanding the savings behavior of low-income households, rural livelihoods, and analysis of government-provided basic services. Professor Lakshmi has also participated in various field-based studies in Tamil Nadu, including projects sponsored by Harvard University, University of California, and Abad, India. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning. Welcome to our chief guest and our VC and Pro VC, who are just part of our family. our faculty colleagues. I would particularly thank our ex-dean, Professor Shobha Das, who did Prarambh online, and it was a roaring success as testimony from our students. As Dean of IFMR GSB, I welcome each one of you into our family. You will listen to a lot from me in the next 2 years, so today will be very crisp and brief. What are you going to learn in IFMR GSB, other than the fact that you will be doing various subjects and hoping to understand the link between them and applying them at work? Today probably begins a time of continuous learning. And let me put this in context. What do I mean by continuous learning? I think for an MBA specifically, there are 3 aspects. 1, knowledge; 2, skills; and finally, attitude. At IFMR GSB, we revel in the fact that the basis of everything that you do from today is knowledge. Why knowledge? Because knowledge is power. You start from here today, the various subjects where you get basic knowledge, and it is up to you to update yourself, because knowledge is not stagnant, but keeps ever increasing. And today you're lucky that you have so many, other than Google, which could or could not be right, you have so many versions of increasing your knowledge. So that's the first important aspect. We have no dilution in the kind of knowledge that we deliver here in terms of all the subjects. Second, related to knowledge is skills. As an MBA, when knowledge is your base, skill is the ability to get trained in a particular area. It could be practical, like art, for example, which we don't at IFMR GSB, or as we very nicely put it, it could be in your various areas. Surely 10 years from now, most of you will be involved with strategy. So why teach strategy now? You need to know basis of strategy and how to use the same for your own purpose. So as I keep repeating often, whether it's OB and HR, marketing, finance, operations, you get not only knowledge, but skill such that you may apply it more efficiently, more effectively. Last, as a management student and any person in this world, one requires the right attitude. We try our level best to help you get an attitude hopefully positive. Why? The main reason is so that you may see things or think things in a way that would be useful to mankind. If we end up with a negative attitude, we would end up actually not just ruining ourselves, but also our surroundings. So crisply put, we take you into the path of knowledge, skill, attitude. Welcome to IFMR GSB. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, we request our Dean, Dr. Lakshmi Kumar, to felicitate our chief guest. Up ahead, we would like to call upon Dr. S. Shivkumar, the Vice Chancellor of Kriya University. A theoretical physicist, Dr. Shivkumar is interested in quantum, classical dynamics, and statistical physics. He studied physics at IIT Madras and then joined the Department of Atomic Energy as a scientist. He spent more than 2 decades researching problems critical to the nation building objective of the DAE. He has a passion for teaching physics and has 2 decades of experience in teaching various physics courses for undergraduates, postgraduates, and research scholars. Prior to joining Kriya University, he was associated with the Homi Bhabha National Institute and Chennai Mathematical Institute. He has mentored many physics and engineering students for their master's thesis, all of whom have taken research as their career. His interests include mathematics and history of physics. Over to you, sir.
Good morning. It's nice to see the hall full after a very, very long time. Because of COVID, it was almost empty. We used to have about 10 or 15 students. It's really a great thing to see students here. On behalf of KRIA, I would welcome Mr. Ranganathan Krishna, our chief guest, and students here. At the outset, let me congratulate all of you for having got an admission into one of the premier management institutes in the country. I'm sure you have chosen this institute after much research and deliberation with your nears and dears and maybe your seniors who are studying here. And I can assure you that you have made the right choice. Okay. And as you might have noticed, IFMR is an old institution, though KRIA itself is hardly 4 years old. IFMR has a legacy. Okay. And because of its long-standing experience in training graduates, you can expect the courses here to be highly innovative, very relevant, and also very unique. Okay. Apart from this graduate school of business, we have another school under KRIA umbrella, the School of Interwoven Arts and Sciences. That is the school which offers undergraduate degrees as of now. It offers UG degrees in almost every shade of science, humanities, social sciences, arts, and literature. The advantage of having that school here is you have now an enlarged pool of very sharp minds. So my suggestion, because it's an orientation program, my first suggestion would be interact with them. So your younger peers could be your sounding boards, interact with them, dash your ideas against them, and learn. And it will be helpful to them as well, because as a university, we should be able to grow. Apart from these two schools, we also have a few research centers. These centers focus on problems anywhere ranging from public health to, let us say, financial inclusion to studying on mental health and so on and so forth. And these research centers also offer research opportunities, both short-term and long-term. Once again, use these opportunities. Okay. So I am not an academic in management like my colleagues sit here. As somebody read out, I'm a physicist by training. But I gather that management has become a very, very technical discipline. Okay. So it may not be possible for everyone to take a bunch of books, read them up, and become an expert in management. And this is precisely the reason why we need institutes like IFMR to tell you the basics, as Professor Lakshmi pointed out earlier. Okay. So our faculty members are active researchers, which means that you will get to know what is current in the field. But we also have professors of practice. Okay. And what does that mean? You don't have to read books like what they don't teach you at Harvard Business School, because these people exactly tell you what is it that you should practice. Use every opportunity while you are here at KRIA. I'm not saying days are going to be easy. Expect a very rigorous, intense coursework. Use every opportunity to learn. And maybe as a note of advice, I would like to remind you of what Henry Ford said. There are no big problems, just a lot of little problems. Okay. So whether you are at KRIA or after KRIA, remember this, then no problem will be insurmountable to you. With these words, I congratulate you once again. All the best to you. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir, for giving us an overview of the KRIA University and for inspiring the students. We would now like to call upon Mr. Ramkumar Ramamurthy, Pro-Vice Chancellor for Professional Learning, KRIA University. Mr. Ramkumar has over 30 years of experience in the technology industry as well as in academia. Prior to this, he was the chairman and managing director of Cognizant India, responsible for the company's India operations with over 2 lakh employees across 13 cities. Mr. Ramkumar spent the first 6 years of his professional career as an academician, and through his long career in the industry, he has been on academic leadership boards of several universities, national academic bodies, and institutions of higher learning. He is currently a member of the Board of Undergraduate Studies in Engineering and Technology at AICTE, the Principal Advisor to the Chennai Mathematical Institute, and a member of the Strategic Academic Advisory Board of Xavier Institute of Management. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, and let me add my welcome to each one of you. It's indeed a privilege for us to have Ranganath Krishna as the chief guest this morning. I would walk you through his profile a few minutes from now. But before that, let me share the rich heritage of IFMR and add a few points thereafter. IFMR was established in 1970. It's one of 5 management schools in the country that has completed 5 decades of nurturing researchers and management talent in the country. The other prominent ones being IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Calcutta, XLRI, and MDI in Gurgaon. So that's the tradition, the heritage, the legacy that IFMR enjoys. The MBA program was started after 3 decades of intense research. And for the last 20 years, this program has been producing several thousands of MBA graduates from IFMR. It would be pertinent to say that this institute, both Kriya and IFMR, has had rich association with many leaders in finance as well as economics. In fact, one of the early directors of this institute, R.M. Honavar, was a chief economic advisor to the government of India. Raghuram Rajan, a former chief economic advisor to the government of India, is in the governing council. And the current chief economic advisor to the government of India, Ananta Nageshwaran, was actually the former dean of IFMR Graduate School of Business, alongside Professor Shobha Das as well as Lakshmi Kumar. So that's the lineage of this institution over the last 50 years. I think the context of doing an MBA program today could be quite rewarding. There are so many structural changes that are happening in the marketplace, driven by a variety of factors, whether it's regulatory changes, consumerism, ethical behavior, ESG, technology and digitization, so on and so forth. So it is important for you to understand in this context, management education has undergone some structural changes over the last 2 decades. About 20 years back, strategy was deified, strategy was glorified, almost to a point that operations was undermined. Then strategy and operational excellence became 2 sides of the same coin. Then over a period of time, technology and strategy became 2 sides of the same coin. So much so that today, no consulting organization can provide a strategic blueprint or a roadmap without understanding what the underlying technology can do to a given business, what IoT can do to a manufacturing enterprise, what artificial intelligence or data science can do to any of the other industries, what augmented reality and metaverse can do to a new breed of industries around the corner, so on and so forth, which is one of the reasons why you find the McKinseys, the Deloittes, the KPMGs and PwCs establishing very strong technology backbones to support their management strategy and advisory businesses. But as the Vice Chancellor said a few minutes back, I for one strongly believe that after this wave of integrating technology and management, we are going to see a significant emphasis on management and behavioral sciences coming together. That's going to be a very important facet of management education and learning several newer concepts that are going to come up at the intersection of anthropology and management, sociology and management, so on and so forth. I'll give you one simple example. all of us went through this pandemic the last 2 years. There are several established models that were dismantled during the pandemic. If you look at drug discovery, go back and look at any pharmaceutical company, they usually take anywhere between 8 and 10 years to develop a drug and about 5 years to market the drug before it goes off patent. This discovering the drug and going through the entire process from R&D to clinical trials to manufacturing and commercial operations, you have a window of about 15 years. But what the pandemic did was to teach us how to develop a drug in a few months and not in few years. It taught us how to manufacture at scale that humanity has not seen before. The dosage of the drugs for COVID-19, whether it's by Pfizer, by Moderna, Bharat Biotech, AstraZeneca, whoever manufactured it, they were able to manufacture it at a scale that was never seen before. They were able to take it to every nook and corner of the country and even to places across the globe that was not that easy. So discovery, clinical trials, manufacturing, logistics and warehousing, all this was mastered. But where we faltered is with human hesitancy of taking the vaccine. Vaccine wastage. So if you try to decouple what is happening, it all has to do with human behavior. Vaccine hesitancy was largely because of religious, political, social, and all the other factors. And I often tell my colleagues that this is the big leverage that Kriya University has. One of the few well-known institutions of management learning with a strong liberal arts underpinning. You don't see that in India often. You have standalone management institutes which don't offer undergraduate programs, or you probably have management institutes which have traditionally offered engineering programs like the NITIs of the world. You hardly come across well-run management institutions with a strong liberal arts underpinning. So that's one point that I want to leave with you. And as the Vice Chancellor said, try and use every opportunity to hobnob with your friends from the School of Interwoven Arts and Science, because at the collision of two disciplines comes a lot of very creative, innovative ideas that can be of great help in the marketplace. Couple of additional points and I will stop there and turn it over to the chief guest. I think the timing of doing this MBA program cannot be more propitious. Management talent is what builds the growth engine of any organization, any country. I spent the last 22 years at Cognizant before I joined Kriya University. And I can tell you, we had a little over 50 senior managers and above when the company's revenue was under $2 million. One of the reasons why Cognizant was able to grow materially faster than its peer group, not just in India, but also globally, was largely because we had the management bandwidth to grow faster without the wheels coming off the bus, largely because we had the talent available in the institution. The growth of any organization can be propelled by or hindered because of the availability or the lack of managerial talent. And given that India is at the cusp of growing much faster than most of the major economies, I think India needs more and more managerial and leadership talent to drive a new generation of entrepreneurs, as well as to drive newer behaviors in established corporations. I was going through a report that was recently published about unicorns in India. Fine, in about 2-3 years, India produced about 100 unicorns, companies with a market capitalization of $1 billion or more. And when you looked at the educational qualifications of people who created these unicorns, you would find that approximately about 70% of them were engineers or management graduates from some of the premier institutions in the country. So, one where you actually get employed in an organization, or if you want to pursue your entrepreneurial journey, there is an education that would stand you in very good stead. And finally, given that this institution has been around for 5 decades, if you look at the profiles of the faculty, you will realize that many of them have very rich experience of teaching in India as well as overseas, and many of them would have had significant research output published in some of the most prestigious journals globally. So the average tenure of a faculty that you would get exposed to with rich global experience would be significantly higher than many of the other new age management institutions that have come about. My request to you is make the best use of it. For many of you, this might perhaps be the last formal education in a classroom environment. That being the case, have loads of fun. And there's a fantastic campus, fine, with all the infrastructure that you may want to have. So make the best of it, both on the academic as well as on the fun side. All the very best.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words. May I also request you to introduce our esteemed guest for the day?
Ranganath Krishna was the CEO and Managing Director of Grundfos Pumps India for 22 years until March of 2020, and was responsible for setting up the company as well as its production facilities and building a very strong brand for Grundfos in India and the neighborhood. Today, Grundfos is well known for its pumps and sustainable practices focused on life cycle costs, energy, and water conservation. During his long association with the company, Ranganath has worked with people from more than 30 countries and has traveled extensively to more than 50 countries. He is also an independent director on the boards of several listed as well as unlisted companies, including Indian Terrain Fashions and Celebrity Fashions, as well as L&T Valves Limited, AVK Valves Private Limited, Smart Jewels Private Limited, and the Ganga STP project. He is also on the advisory board of a few NGOs in the areas of education and mental health. A mechanical engineer from the College of Engineering, Gandhi, Anna University, with management education from XLRI in Jamshedpur, Ranganath has worked across many areas of management in his 40-year career in the corporate world across marketing, sales, design, project management, finance, human resources, business strategy, as well as general management. His experience spans manufacturing of boilers, burners, incinerators, pollution control, and energy recovery areas, as well as setting up small captive power plants and high tension transmission lines in the Middle East. Ranganath has been quite active with several chambers of commerce. He is a past president of the Madras Management Association and a past chairman of the Tamil Nadu Council of the Confederation of Indian Industries, as well as AEEE, the Alliance for Energy Efficient Economy. His focus areas over the years has been water, energy, education, and skill development. He has also been a part of the CIA National Committee on Skill Development, CIA National Committee on Water, and a co-chair of a subcommittee on urban water management during his CII tenure. As I said a few minutes back, given all the transformative changes that are going on in the business context, his exposure, or rather deep interest in ESG, environment, social, and governance, the reimagination of skills that are needed in the redefined context of future of work, on the need for management students to understand all aspects of management. Fine, you may specialize in finance, but for anybody to take up a career in finance, you truly need to understand strategy, operations, human resources, marketing, and the like. Given that he has vast exposure in each one of these management areas, we couldn't have asked for a better chief guest to address you all at this juncture. Thank you, Ranganath, for honoring our request, and over to you.
Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see a lot of young people out here. Prarambh, nice word. This is the beginning of a new journey for quite a few of you. And as Ram said, enjoy yourselves. This is probably the best 2 years in your life. I still remember I was telling one of your volunteers that how we still, all of us in our late 60s, meet every year. XLRI classmates, we meet in December this year. And we just reminisce about our life in the campus and nothing to do with the work that we have done. It's a great time for you. And again, let me pick up the words from what Professor Lakshmi said. Knowledge, skills, attitude. I would put attitude before the other two. With the right attitude and the aptitude to learn on a continuous basis, there's nothing that you cannot achieve, provided you know what you're good at and what you're not. That's one of the issues that I find with most young people or even older people. It's worse with some of the middle-aged people because they are stuck in their own ways, that you don't see what your weaknesses are. Your strengths are your strengths. You can do very well. But if you don't know your weaknesses and if you don't have a team which backs up, which has the strength, which is your weakness, which complementary strengths they have, then you won't get anywhere. Because gone are the days where the boss ran everything, or the boss is a superhero, we call ourselves a managing director, etc. I don't think we know even 1/100th of what we should know in all the companies. It's an era of network teams. If you don't know how to network and work with people, you're going to be left behind. So that's the situation. So anyway, I'm thankful to Ram and the Kriya IFMR Business School for having invited me here. The only point of worry was that they said you have to speak for about 30-35 minutes. I was a little sort of taken aback because forget you, I don't even know if I can stand my own voice for that long. But anyway, I have to do this, so let's go ahead. So to all of you that are entering business school today, I said it's a new way of sort of a new beginning to your life. The question is, what is it that you're going to do in life? Is MBA even relevant to any of you? What are you going to do with what you're going to learn? Or is this the end of your learning? End of your formal education, Ram said, that's fine. Again, let me go back to some of what the other speakers said. Learning never stops. Every day is the beginning of a new phase in your lives, and it never stops. And you can learn from anybody and everybody. If you have that mindset, you can do very well. It so happened that I never recruited a single management student in my organization. I said, no, I don't care what their degrees are. Because every time I spoke to my own colleagues, they had a chip on their shoulder. Oh, we are MBAs. Okay, what can you do? Oh, we will be managers in 2 years. What will you manage? Do you have the capability of managing? The only thing you need to manage is manage people. I very often say the best people on earth who have solid education are people who learn accountancy, because everything in life, I'm an engineer by heart, by birth. But when I started running companies, I had to understand only 4 words: debit, credit, profit, loss. Everything runs on that. So if you are doing that, you have a head start. But business is just not accounting. Business is not just marketing. Business is not just production or supply chain. It's a holistic view of what you need to do. You need to have a working level understanding of all other I would call it departments or silos. They're actually built as silos, but they are departments for you to really do well, whether running your own business or working for somebody. And it's not easy. Things have got a little more complicated. In the past, it used to be that I make a product, I hard sell it. I don't care what happens to the people who buy it. I don't care what happens to the environment. I don't care what happens to anything else. I need to make my shareholders make money. And money was the only kind of approach. Is that the approach today? I find that the youngsters of every country, not just India, I mean, glad that they do that. They are looking for something more than just making money if they have to join a company. So the business of business is not just making money. It has to be a larger purpose than making money. So let's discuss what we look at in the current day. Is it business plus society? Is it business plus sustainability? Or should it be a very holistic approach, integrating everything? Earlier, whether it is a business that we ran, or whether it's a group that we sat, or whether it's professors versus students, or management versus employees, we would sit across the table and talk to or talk at each other. If that is what you follow, you won't get too far. Today, the table is no longer a rectangle, it's a round table. You talk with people. You co-create issues. You sit with them and sort out issues because everybody has something to say. And one of the ways of developing business is to have an ear open for anybody. The best suggestions we got when I was running Runforce for keeping our premises clean was from the lady who swept our road. Generally, you won't even notice them. You don't know their name. But you just happened to go and speak to her. I said, you're doing this every day. Is there a better way of doing this? That's something that you need to develop. The ability to listen, not to hear, to listen and understand. Because generally what we do is when somebody's talking to us, we're already making our reply. We're not even listening. So the ability to listen, one, and the ability to execute. The reason why I did not hire MBAs, I found everybody was fantastic, very brainy. They could make PowerPoints. They could sort of talk about strategy. When I say, take this and execute, they don't want their hands to be dirty. That doesn't work. That has to change. So let's look at the current thinking is that the business has to have a purpose greater than the business itself. And that's what I will talk about. And whom should it serve? In the 70s, I think this is Milton Friedman or somebody who said that the only purpose of business is to make money for its shareholders. It's no longer sustainable. So who should we serve? We have an entire stakeholder community. And who are the stakeholders? One is the employees. In this case, as an institution, the students are my first stakeholders. Then you have the professors, then you have the administration, then you have the society around, then you have the general public. So these are all the stakeholders, and today's business has to add value to every constituent of the stakeholder community, without which your business will not be sustainable. And why is it so? Because expectations of you and me as consumers is changing day by day, and we want to see like something being done which is good for the society and good for this planet. Very important to do that, because if we are not doing it, if we are no longer having sustainable practices, we will leave behind the world which is not fit enough to live for our successors. That means we are taking too much out of it, and already we have been doing that. So traditionally, the role of business was what? We produce goods, we produce a service, we sell it, we try to satisfy if a demand that exists, or we try to create a demand that it does not. So that's what we would traditionally do. Economists have always argued that the sole purpose of business is making money. But is that the purpose? Or do you think the more the money, the better it is? A lot of people do think so. But the question is, I'm not saying you should not make money. If you're not financially sustainable, you can't do anything else. You're going to be in trouble. But how do you make the money, and for what purpose do you make the money, and for what purpose do you use it? That's where the question is. That's what you need to think as students coming in here. If you have to grow as a person, as a community, as a society, as a country, we need to start thinking more collectively for the collective good rather than for the individual good, because then we would be sort of taking away somebody else's right to create our own rights. And it's happening all the time in this country, in any other country. So the era has changed considerably. You are coming into an era which is very different from when we did our management. In fact, I met a young girl who passed out in 2016 from XLR. I remember talking, and inadvertently, when she said, "When did you pass out?" I said, "1980." He said, "Oh my God, that's ancient." So I felt like a dinosaur. And it came out. She was very embarrassed after that. She said, "Sorry." I said, "No, that's the truth. We are dinosaurs compared to what you are." And so this is very, very important. So what has happened? Every company in the past started off with a mission and vision statement. And nowadays it's a mission, vision, or a purpose statement. Any company you go to, I'm sure even IFMR has one, you'll see it on every board, on every table. And unfortunately, 60% of the time, that's where it stays. Very unfortunately. If you're having a mission and vision, if you're writing it just to make sure that people know it and not living it, then it's of no use. Any brand, any mission, any vision, any purpose, you have to live it on a day-by-day, day-to-day basis in everything that you do. And that's what makes an entire difference between a company which is just existing, making money, and a company which is making an impact to everybody around. You build great companies by doing that. You can build profitable companies by taking away money, but it's always short term. Every company, like, let me read out McDonald's vision statement. This is the latest vision statement almost. To move with velocity to drive profitable growth and become an even better McDonald's, serving more customers delicious food each day around the world. Health, no reference. No matter whether you get diabetes or whether you get cholesterol, doesn't matter. I want to sell food to you everywhere. Is that a sustainable thing? See the pushback that's coming up. So what is it that you want to do as a purpose? And what is it that what are your value systems when you come? Each person, each one of you will have an individual value system, even though you may not express it or know it or not written it down. Something drives you positively, something drives you negatively. If you sit down for a minute, you'll understand what drives you positively, what drives you negatively. And the same thing happens to organizations. So we need to have a purpose, whether as an individual or as an organization, which is far greater than the business itself. Look at the NGOs. How many of us work with NGOs? Some of you might even do some social work. Do you get paid? No. But you give the best of your effort. You think through all this for zero payment. I always think, what if all organizations or NGOs, we got all people to work for free? But that's the attitude you have to have in terms of why do you go to an NGO and do work? Because you feel happy that somebody is getting benefited. So what is stopping us from doing it in organizations? Yes, we get paid. That's even better. But let's do something where everybody's getting benefited, not take away somebody's rights, but create those benefits for all the stakeholders that we're looking at. And that's where sustainable businesses are coming. It became a fashion, or it has become a fashion. Everybody talks of ESG, sustainability, but there are enough companies who really walk the talk. And when I say walk the talk, I really mean it. I'm going to use it many, many times, because generally we talk and talk. We never walk the talk, because we need to live by what we say and take our own medicine. Grundfos in the past had a mission vision statement where we said we need to be the best pumps in the world. We need to be the most preferred supplier to pumps. We should have the technology. We should be innovative. But in 2009, we changed it. I didn't read it. Worldwide, we said sustainability is in everything we do. That's our purpose statement. We work tirelessly to improve water and energy efficiency for the greater good and believe in making a difference locally and globally. Do you see pumps? No. Do you see profits? No. Do you see anything that we always say that we will help the world do better? And we have never said we will make losses. Yes, we need to make profits. We need to be profitable to drive this agenda. but we will use our money to drive the agenda. And that's what makes the difference between companies and great companies, between companies that attract people like you. Generally, the life in a company for the current generation is 3 or 4 years, and you start jumping. In fact, I was talking to an HR guy. In fact, they said that if somebody has not jumped companies 3 times every 3 years, we're wondering what's gone wrong. Not like Ram and me, who sat in the same company for 22 years. Why? Because we enjoyed what we were doing. We believed that we were having a greater good. We actually made an impact in the society. And it's just not me. Most of my team who joined me in their 20s are still there today in their 40s. And I'm not. And some of them who left, 95% wanted their job back. And this doesn't matter what the salary is. 80% we took back. The only reason why I asked, why have you come back? He says, we had issues with the ethics. We had issues with their vision. We had issues with the mission. We were not treated as human beings. But ultimately, money is, yes, it should be on the table. But all these also matter. How long would you be disrespected just because you're getting money? Will any of you take that for too long? At some point of time, you will say, okay, enough is enough now. I have enough sort of live. Let me do something else. So this is something that is very, very vital. And when we build these purpose statements, we have to have the buy-in of everybody. It's just not some CEO writes something and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. When we built a purpose statement in Greenpeace India, it's slightly different. I just brought an old card of mine. We did it a little different from the global one that I read. We said, Greenpeace Pumps India will work towards helping its customers and the nation to conserve water and energy. We never spoke pumps. Greenpeace will, through all its actions, focus on how it can co-create value with its stakeholders by being a responsible partner for a cleaner and greener planet. Does it talk of our business? No. We said everything that we do and everything that every employee does inside our campus, outside our campus, in office time, in private time, will actually go towards what we have written down. And that's where I said you need to walk the talk at all the times. Why did we do this? And why is it behind my old card? I had a tough time finding a card of mine because I've retired 2 years ago. Not that we wanted to put it. I had a customer coming in one day and looked at this. He said, this is amazing. I've never seen this. Why is it not behind your card? Because it's a good thing to sort of read. And that's how we started. And this is also crowdsourced. We looked at what should be done. And that's where we need to look at. When you go into organizations, speak to your colleagues. Do not look at hierarchy. Hierarchy in organizations is just for administration and not for running the company or not for pulling rank. You need to follow when you need to follow. You need to be a leader when you need to be a leader. And both these come together. In fact, most of us senior management were part of a team which was led by much junior people because they knew what they had to do and that was their thing. And when it comes to the organization, yes, I led because that's my role. So it's important that you have this ability to work along with people, to speak to people, to get their buy-in and work together. So normally, we need to see when we write our purpose or we write sort of what business we're doing, what is it that we are trying to solve? What is the value add that we're giving our customers? Generally, we don't seem to look at that. What is the value add that we can for our shareholders? What's the cents per share per quarter that has to have? What's the growth? How can you have growth all the time? That's one question I keep asking. Why do you expect growth every quarter? Why do you expect the value to grow every quarter? That means somebody else is losing. Why can't you say, fine, I'm going to have this 2 years of growth in these areas and I'm going to sit back and bring my organization up and ensure that I'm not so much focused on growth, but I'm focused on the growth of people and planet and not just the money part of it. That's an important part of sort of looking at it. Most businesses today are using the purpose statement to deepen and their attitude and their way of business to deepen their connection, emotional connection with their stakeholders. Connection from the with everybody can be a hi, hello, have a cup of tea. But things happen when you have an emotional connect, when you have empathy with each other. You can see that how terrible things happen when you don't have empathy. whether it's politics, whether it's religion, whether it's business. When you don't understand the other person or misunderstand the other person or jump to conclusions without understanding circumstances, you actually create dissonance. How many of you here are musicians or play music? Any of you? Okay. You have 7 notes in whichever music that you want. You have harmonies. Why is it called a harmony?
Because they sound good together.
Exactly. So the notes are the same. When they are harmonious, they're all together in a pattern. It sounds good. The same notes, if not in harmony, how does it sound?
Not pleasing to the ear.
Terrible. So basically, it's the same note that we're looking at. It's the question of how you work together. Sustainable business are those that people are working together and they are not actually optimizing every department and every silo. They sometimes let go of something to optimize the entire organization, which from a customer point of view is from the time you meet a customer to the time he gets his product and makes payment. It's an entire chain, so you cannot optimize in between. So sometimes it's a give and take, and companies and people who have that attitude, okay, fine, I'm going to lose my efficiency a bit, but you do this because the customer benefits or the stakeholder benefits. That's the kind of attitude very difficult to get. Why is it difficult to get? Because we are mammals. We are mammals with a slight difference. We have the power of thought and the power of sacrifice, which we never use. And as mammals, we are very territorial. A lion will go with a lion, it doesn't go with a tiger, so we are all like groups. So in 2 years from now, you guys are going to enter the corporate jungle. Any of you have already worked and have joined? Okay. So you know what the corporate jungle is. There are lions, there are tigers, there are elephants, there are snakes and foxes. And they're all people like us, like me. So you have to navigate this jungle. If you're a snake and there's a mongoose, how do you navigate it? So it's very important that you understand and you're empathetic and you understand the business process, you're empathetic and you're able to work together in teams so that there's a certain value add from the entire team. And that's the most difficult part. I started a project called Desalivization of Grundfos, where I say, I don't care what department what is. Let me put a flow chart and see how you can handhold it. And tell me, it took me 5-6 years and I was not even 50% successful. That strong we are in our, I am so-and-so, I'm South Indian, I'm North Indian, I'm that. When you were born, what were you? Nothing, because your parents told you all this. No, your parents told you what religion, which God to follow, what language to speak. Okay, we are born in that, but what prevents us from going beyond? And that's what companies have to do. That's what businesses have to do now. So you deepen your connections with your stakeholders. I'm just not talking of stakeholders, just the public, even with your vendors. There's one little experiment that we did in Runpur. I'm telling you a lot of stories. And when the time is up, I should stop because there are these stories which actually happened in life. When we built the building in Runpur, we said there's only one canteen. Everybody eats there, workmen, managing director, managers. Same food, same queue. So some of my managers said, how can this be? We should have a separate canteen. My only question was, is your blood blue or what? No, why can't you stand there? Why are you pulling rank? Human beings are human beings. Let's stand in the same queue. And you will not get served ahead. If I'm behind a workman, I'm behind a workman. It was just a thought, and some of them agreed, and we did that. But the impact it created on the blue collar, there has been no union for 22 years. There's been no stoppage of work at any point of time. Doors are open for them to come and speak. They are a part. And if there was any lowering in order book, the workman would say in Tamil, what can we do? Do you think we should do something else? Do you think we can go sort of out and do some sales? That's the buy-in you have to have with all the colleagues that you have. And that's important. So this is where you need to look at how to go about building, if you're building your own businesses, or how to go about working if you're going to work for somebody. So if you need to create a positive impact, if you need to attract and retain talent, you need to build businesses which go beyond just the business of making money. And you need to live that. It takes long years to build a reputation. It takes 2 seconds to lose it. And once you lose it, it's very difficult to build it back. So it's the onus is on each individual to ensure we behave. Who spoke about behavior? I think Professor Lakshmi spoke about behavior. You said knowledge, skills, attitude, and behavior. You can never not be an example. Whether you do things or you don't do things, people watch. It's not the overt thing that people watch. Subconsciously, you're watching people. Subconsciously, you're watching your parents, your uncles and aunts, what they do, when they do. Even without knowing, you're formulating your own way of looking at things. And that impacts you. So you can never not be an example. Even if you don't open your mouth and sit quiet, you're still an example. This guy didn't say anything. See, that's what you can mind. So it's important that we, again, a little story. All of us are brand ambassadors of our own selves and of the organizations that we are working in. Whether we like it or not, even if you say, I am not a brand ambassador, you're a brand ambassador. And this story, this came about to me because there was this workman of ours wearing a Grundfos t-shirt, cycling on the road on OMR one day. And somebody was in trouble, so he stopped his cycle, helped them out. And the people around saw Grundfos there. He said, you're working there. Great company. They don't know anything about the company. They have seen a nice building. Great company. No, we're very happy. This is a good that you're in our community. And that's what struck me. A person doesn't know. He just sees a name there, and there's a person whom he doesn't know. And this is what happens. Just imagine if he had behaved badly. They wouldn't know who the person is, but Grundfos was a terrible company. So this is exactly what happens. So you are your own brand ambassadors, the brand ambassadors, as far as you're concerned, also of Kriya, IFMR, GSP. The way you behave outside impacts what brand this is standing. And that's where that's what happens with companies too. So internalization of this concept of a greater purpose, of living by that, and ensuring that we do everything that leads to what we have professed is very, very important if you really need to make a difference. It's not easy. Not easy at all. Look at your own selves. All of you talk to each other if you want some after this. Not now, because there'll be a lot of cacophony and we won't be able to finish. Some of you will want to make just money, which is fair. That's your business model. I want to make money. I want to live a good life. Now you can define good life. Some of you want to work in social organizations. I want to make a difference to so-and-so. To the homeless or the mentally challenged or to something else. Some of you want to make a positive impact in everybody's life that you come across. It's each of you have your own way of looking at it. So each of us have come with a different purpose that we have defined for ourselves. But what is important that the purpose is authentic and we live by that purpose. It's not just lip service. I can say a lot of things because it sounds good. Grundfos built the first commercial green building in India. And I went and asked for recycled material. I almost got hit. How can you accuse us of using recycled material? We make fresh virgin material. I said, no, I don't want that. I want recycled material. Now it's available everywhere. But then started this business of greenwashing. Oh, we will also get a green building tag. For what? Oh, we can market, can get 10 rupees more per square foot. I said, that's not the objective. The objective is, so this again came about because one consultant, and he's a consultant for business excellence, he asked me a question which actually made me sit down and think. Very small question. Do you want to be a certified organization or a practicing organization? It's a very innocuous statement to make. Do you want to be a certified organization or a practicing organization? It took me a second to realize what he's talking. I said, no, I don't care about certification. That's just the crown on the icing of the cake. I want to be a practicing organization. Certification can come at any time. So that's where the difference is. These are little things that if you keep your ears open, you'll come across, and this is how organizations and individuals get built. Your own value system is honed because you have your ears open and you listen to things, your mind is open, and you internalize things. There's another thing that which struck me when we looked at dealing with people. You know, in the past, it was labor versus management, and I've dealt with that in businesses 40 years ago. But what made the change? And all the pain points that I saw in dealing with labor, they went and murdered the same union that was negotiating. They murdered the personal officer of the ecstasy. And I was negotiating all the time, and I was all of 30 years old at that point of time. And then I realized all the pain points, and then we started doing process. How do I avoid this? One thing that struck me, and I was driving down in the early days of and there was this Tamil channel on FM, so I had it on. And this guy spoke in Tamil to another person, and he said, "How do you treat your people working under you?" A long explanation I was giving. How do you want to be treated by your boss? Again, a long explanation. And the guy was interviewing said, "If you start treating people like how you want to be treated by your boss, everything will be all right." Such a simple statement, which simply changed the way I looked at things. If I am expecting something to happen to me, why am I not extending to people who are working below me? The moment you do that, there is trust that is built, and you have to live with that trust all the time. So it's very important that when you look at these, when you go out into the world, you have your own personal purpose or vision. You have to live that, and you need to understand what you can do for yourself and your organization, which goes beyond just the act of making money is not an end, but a means to your larger purpose. You need the money. I'm not saying that you should not. You be paid a fair wage. You should earn a fair amount. There's a lot of difference between profit and profiteering. Profiteering is a four-letter word for me, but profits are vital. It's important that you make that money because you have to pay your people, you have to pay your vendors, you have to pay your society, you have to pay your taxes. Many years ago, Grundfos is owned by a trust. It's the family which owned it puts 85% to a trust so they can never take the money back. So we made a bit of profits, and I was talking to the then chairman, who happens to be the founder's son. They said, "We made these profits. We should sort of plan for avoiding taxes and sort of invest in this." And what he told me, again, this was somewhere in 1999, actually shocked me and said, "This is what we should be doing." He says, "We have started a company 10,000 kilometers away in your country. And if you don't want to pay the taxes to your country, who else will pay? Please pay the taxes. You don't have to just invest because you have to save some taxes. Because you made the money, you pay the taxes." So the kind of responsibility that one takes for your own self and for the companies that you work for makes a huge difference, because after all, it's not organizations that make people. Most of the time, it's people that make the organizations. And if you don't have the right people and the right attitude and the right culture, you're going to be in trouble. And cultures vary from company to company. Like, for instance, if the Ambanis had a Tata culture, they will die. If Tatas have an Ambani culture, they will die. Each one has his own culture. What is good, what is bad is not the issue here. Are you true to what you're saying is what the issue is. And each of you have your own things which you feel this is good for me, is not good for me. And you have to join organizations where your personal values and the organizational values match. Otherwise, you're having a dichotomy and you'll be having trouble all the time trying to match this, because you have to do something that you don't believe because your organization wants you to do it. So the best thing is to see if you can match these two. Not very easy, but at some point of time it does. So, like I said, again, repeat, walk the talk all the time. Be authentic. Don't pay lip service, and ensure that you live by the defined purpose or values that you really have for yourself or for your organization. Don't just print it and put up on the board for everybody to read. Quality policy. I mean, terrible quality, terrible customer listing. And there's a big quality policy. And I have written sometimes to the very large organizations, to the managing directors, even though I never knew them, because you can always get their mail ID, feedback to you, so and so issues, and your quality policy and your actions on the ground don't match. And mind you, they have come back, and the first person who came back in half an hour was Anand Mahindra. I sent him a note, and half an hour he was back. "No, we are taking care of this. This is what we're going to do. And that's actually the kind of company that you need to sort of be. Very, very quick in your response. Everybody can have mistakes, can go wrong. From what you profess at this level to what is happening on the ground can change. Because things are lost in translation. Have you seen the movie Lost in Translation? I will look at it also. There are many. You can lose out because what I communicate to him can change. But having the mechanism to get a feedback and keeping it open and acting upon it. For most of you, let me reiterate, if you do not know how to implement, you can't get too far. Today, companies are looking for people who can multitask, who can sort of do things which are not their mainstream, who can execute. He told me he's done his journalism and he ran Cognizant. Okay, I did my engineering. Okay, pumps are in engineering, but I never used my engineering. Most of the time it was finance that was being used and strategy that was being used because I didn't have to go and do something. But one thing that I did to get that empathy from people, most of you would be working in organizations, you would not have seen the product or service because you will work in customer support, you might see something, but if you're working in accounts, you won't see anything. One thing that we did is that every employee, whatever be their designation position, has to go and dismantle a pump and reassemble it and then start their work. Because if I tell you a part, you should understand what it is, whether in accounts, whether in supply chain, whether in marketing, sales, or whether you're in customer support. You should understand what it is. It's important. I'm not asking you to be an expert. No, you don't. But without basic understanding, winging your way through life doesn't work. You will fall very soon. Somebody will wake up and say, what is this chap talking about? Or what is this person talking about? So it's important that we do. And what happens when you do this? People start admiring the organization. People start admiring the people in the organization. The word spreads around. You can attract the best of talent. You get treated well. You may not be paid the highest, but like I said, if there's enough money on the table, you need to look at things which really gives you the respect as a human being. Not all human beings are the same. We should accept that. Each of us come with our own talents. You know, in many organizations, I'm telling you a few stories here and there, but tell me when the time is up. Many organizations, even in my own, when I saw people interviewing, they'll call a person for interviews. They say, okay, what all do you know? And start asking questions of things that they don't know. I said, look, we are not hiring people for what they don't know. We are hiring people for what they know. So please stick to what the person knows. And if somebody says, I know this, question them deeply on that. Please do not. And when we hire people, generally I find people pointing at the weaknesses. I said, when we hired this person, we knew that was the weakness. Why are you pointing to it? Can you give him a team member who is strong and what his weakness is? Put them together. We cannot have everybody knowing everything. It is impossible. I always make fun of people. Today, you can do a PhD on the left leg of a mosquito, and you will not know what the right leg is. So you need to have another PhD in the right leg of a mosquito put together and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And that's exactly how organizations are. You got to work together. You got to work with teams. It's important. So when a company's actions is aligned with its purpose, when the people are aligned with the purpose and people's attitudes are there in the right place, then you really don't need to do much. Because what happens is the market, your customers, your stakeholders talk about you. You don't have to market yourself. You don't even have to say what you are. And we did another experiment, which I failed completely. I said, let's remove every designation from our visiting cards. No designation, whoever you are, managing director or office boy, whoever you want to. Just a card with a name. How can it be said people will not allow us in? We have to have manager. Yeah, that's the unfortunate situation in India. If you don't put manager, even if you're not managing anything, they don't allow you in. But let me tell you, you go and talk to somebody for 5 minutes on behalf of yourself or your company, they will know who you are for that company. And that's all that matters. The passion you show, the commitment you show, the ownership that you show makes a huge difference for all this. So this is important that we do this. Easiest thing is to write the purpose statement, to write your mission vision, but living according to that is something that you have to practice on a regular basis. So the other thing that I've come across is that people have a code of ethics. These days, everybody has to sign a code of ethics. There'll be 20 signatures and this big poster on the wall. Forgotten after that. You go back to your old ways. It's difficult. In countries like India, it's difficult. But again, we have our choices. And one of the choices that we had to face is in 2006, a transporter parked his truck in our premises in the night, went up, his truck fell down, hit his head on the concrete, and he died. So everything was done legally, but as is bound to be, there was demand for a bribe from the government authorities, so much bribe. So we said, sorry, it doesn't gel. It's not our ethics to give anybody any bribe. So we want you know we'll file serious cases. I can file any case, not an issue. If we have to go to jail, we go to jail. Our conscience is clear. We have to help the widow of the person who died, who is not even our employee. We are happy to do that, but no bribe. So, case we've had to fight for 3 years, non-bailable warrants, arrests. We said no, we don't have an ego that we have to go to jail. Something happens to us. We will go, but we will not give you 3 paisa. Okay, so this is what we need to do. Basically, tough, but you need to understand what we do. So the way the organization sticks to its values is very, very vital. That you need to sort of imbibe this culture. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of effort. It takes continuous monitoring and continuous discussions with each other to ensure that we are able to work together and create organizations which stand for something way beyond just the business of making money. The business of making money, like I said, is only a means and not an end. So we should be embedding this in everything that we do. And we should create, as bosses, we should create an ecosystem within our organizations to ensure we promote this kind of a culture. So I wish all of you the very best. I can go on speaking on many things, but we have short of time, and may all of you build strong organizations for yourselves or the ones that you work for with a larger purpose than just enrichment to the shareholder, and may you make a difference in the world. Thank you and best wishes.
Thank you so much, sir, for your insights into the purpose of business and the role of young managers like us in making a difference not just to the companies we will work, but also to the society and the world. These words will surely motivate us to look for different perspectives in our learning journey. I am sure Mr. Ranganath's words would have given you food for thought. Now, the floor is open for questions. We request you to please raise your hand. Please wait for the mic to be passed to you. State your name and ask your questions, keeping it crisp and brief.
So first of all, thank you so much for such a wonderful session. Sir, I wanted to ask a question and I couldn't help myself from asking this. With a diverse experience across so many functions and companies, what would your advice be to young upcoming managers like us? Would you recommend us to specialize in one area or vertical and keep at it? Or should we diversify our interests from the outset?
Being an expert in one area is good. I'm not saying you should not. But being blind to the other areas of the organization is bad. Unless until you're working on your own in R&D, one area is great. If you're not, if you're working with other teams, you should know. If you're a cricket player, then you should know cricket very well. But you should also know there are other hockey players, how to deal with them. So it's not an easy thing to do, but keep your mind open. Basic respect for the human being and whatever he does makes a difference. If you are comfortable in your skin of what you're doing, then you also respect the other person. then what happens is that you're able to easily sail through this. But they respect for what you know, and you're an expert in your field. It's one field maybe, and you respect the others for what he knows or she knows in their field. That's where they say the issue only comes with, oh, finance is greater than marketing. Without marketing, nothing else exists. And that's where the problem comes in.
With interest of time, we would only take one more question.
Good morning, sir. I'm Tanmay. So, sir, I wanted to ask, what was your mission and vision when you started as an individual, and how did it evolve with time till here?
Oh, one thing, let me tell you, all that I wanted to do was to do whatever I did well. I never said I have to do this. That's strange coming from me, but I let life take me wherever it took. But whatever I did, I said I must give my full commitment. And the other thing I did was, whenever I started comparing myself with others, someone would say, I would say, stop it, because I'm not that person. Can I do to the best of my ability? And make sure if something else is to be done, that I have a team which is able to do that. So creating a team which will help me and I help them made the huge difference. The one thing that changed from my younger days till by the age of 28, 30, I changed was, earlier I said everybody is guilty until not proven guilty, not until proven not guilty. I changed that. I said everybody is not guilty until proven guilty, because basically every human being comes, it's not his or her choice that they were born, where they were born, or what they're doing. Who are we to judge that? And I would be very, very critical about certain things. Where I said, no, they are also a part of the ecosystem. Each of us is a part of an ecosystem, including the animals, the flora, fauna. If you're able to live along and you chart your own path, why do you have to sort of denigrate somebody else's path? So that creates a kind of peace in your mind, and you see negative emotions consume you, but it makes you sharp. Positive emotions don't consume you, but you can get dull. Like love is a great dulling kind of. Hate is it makes you very sharp, because you're thinking all the time. So basically, you need to sort of move that away, and that's what happened. I would be claiming completely wrong if I said I charted my path. I was there at the right time, at the right place, took care of the opportunities, and perhaps somebody else beyond me was guiding, but I had to do my work and do it diligently. That's about it.
Thank you so much for the perspective, sir.
Now, we would like to request Dr. Gayatri Sampath, the co-coordinator of Prarambh 2022, to propose the vote of thanks.
Respected Chief Guest Sri Rangnath N. Krishna, Vice Chancellor Professor S. Shivkumar, Pro Vice Chancellor Sri Ram Kumar Ramamurthy, Dean Professor Lakshmi Kumar, faculty members, staff members of Kriya University, and the gathered students of IFMR GSB. It is my privilege to stand before you to propose the vote of thanks for Prarambh 2022. Prarambh 2022 marks the beginning of many things at IFMR GSB. It is about back to campus. It is about back to normalcy. It is about bringing in a new cohort of learners. I, on behalf of IFMR Graduate School of Business, Kriya University, co-coordinator of Prarambh 2022, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to our chief guest, Sri Rangnath N. Krishna, former managing director of Grundfos Pumps, who spared time from his busy schedule midweek to grace the occasion and truly made it a memorable beginning, because that's what we are here for, to celebrate beginnings. Okay. Thank you, sir, for your insightful and motivating talk. I'm sure it has invigorated and enthusiastic students to strive harder to become not just good managers, but better human beings. I would also like to thank our Vice Chancellor, Dr. S. Shivkumar, for taking time out and sharing his thoughts with the students. Sir, your practical words would have surely resonated with our young budding managers. excuse me. A special thanks to our Pro VC, Mr. Ramkumar Ramamurthy, for his support and encouragement in conceptualizing and executing this event. I am sure students would have absorbed many important learnings from his words drawn upon so many years of experience in the corporate world. I must certainly extend our thanks to our Dean, Professor Lakshmi Kumar, for her guidance and support in planning this event. Prarambh 2022 would have been a very diminished effort without your constant inputs and advice. A warm thanks to all my colleagues, the eminent professors of GSP, for their enthusiastic participation and support for this event. Okay. Events of this scale cannot take place without the support of the entire university. Our chief guest today spoke about the importance of collaboration, and I think we have demonstrated that in front of the incoming batch when we look at Prarambh 2022. We are fortunate to have been backed by a very efficient, dedicated, and motivated staff team who knew what needed to be done. Every department, including operations, security, housekeeping, maintenance, administration, IT, finance, admissions, placement, all the program officers, library, and many more, contributed their best to the event in providing data, time, support, and encouragement. Thank you all for your support for making sure that we could pull off Prarambh 2022. I cannot thank everyone for their willingness to extend whatever support was required of their time, of their resources, to ensure that you, the incoming batch, had a seamless experience. A special mention and thanks to the Office of Student Life, Kriya University, Dean Student Affairs Vidya Manuswamy, Rakhi Rai, and Vihari Yuganti for working with us very closely in executing this event successfully. I would also be remiss if I did not acknowledge the support of the communications team led by Akhila, Lydia, and Anisha. Your creative ideas and suggestions have elevated Prarambh from just being another inauguration to a standout event to mark new beginnings. Thank you for your enthusiastic support. Last but not the least, events like this draw their energy from students who are at the heart of the program. I would not be exaggerating if I said that Prarambh 2022 would not have been possible without the dedication and efforts of the student volunteers, members of the student council, and all the other student committees. You guys have set a very high bar for all events to come in the future. And finally, a warm welcome and thank you to the superstars of the day, the incoming batch of 22-24. Your cooperation in managing timelines has ensured that we are able to stick to the schedule that has been planned for Prarambh 2022. Thank you all, and thank you to the dignitaries once again. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, we will adjourn for a short tea break. For students, tea is organized right outside the hall in the atrium. We request you to please be seated till the dignitaries leave the room and kindly be back by 11 a.m. as many more sessions are planned for today. Thank you.